Hi, my name's Dina Zeckhausen, and I'm on the PACE LEAD committee, and this video is actually in lieu of you coming in and getting formal training for your part in these upcoming PACE LEAD house parties. We know that you're extremely busy and that you may have led these kind of discussion groups before, so it's not rocket science. We want to make it as simple for you as we can. So just bear with me. I don't know how to edit, so we're going to do this on one take. I also don't have a teleprompter, so I may have to look at my notes for a minute. But anyway, we just wanted to tell you about how these meetings are going to go. As you know, there are going to be 2 meetings for each grade. There's going to be a morning coffee and an evening social. We'd like the meetings to last around maybe an hour and a half. The first, people usually show up late for these things, and then they would like to have a little nibble and chat with each other. So we'll probably allow 20 minutes for that, and then we're going to have people presenting the data from the survey that was done this fall of the 8th through the 12th graders regarding their behaviors and attitudes around alcohol and other drugs. And you don't have to know all that data. You can just sit in, and you may have already heard John Reese's presentation a few weeks ago, but some other folks are going to be presenting that data, probably with handouts, since we're not going to be able to set up PowerPoint projectors at every house. And then after that, we're going to be breaking into smaller groups in different parts of the house, and you'll be tasked with sort of leading the discussion in one of these groups. At this point, we have no idea how many people are going to be coming to these parties and exactly how many discussion leaders we're going to have at each party. So you may have 6 people in your group, you may have 15 people in your group. So we hope that you can just be flexible and kind of go with the flow on this. And we're going to try to make it fun. First, I want to just let you know, well, you should have received an email in addition to the link to this video with an attachment that is sort of a description of the things that you need to know going into the meetings. And I'm just going to kind of go through some of the points on that attachment. First of all, this topic makes people very anxious. I'm anxious talking about it and thinking about it. You probably are too as parents. You do not have to know all the answers here as the discussion facilitator. Really, your job is to help draw everybody out and get some ideas. There very likely are going to be people in your group who have older kids who may have been through this already, and we want people to be just sort of talking about the scenarios and the what-ifs. There are some general principles, of course, that are important to convey, such as it's probably not a great idea to serve alcohol at your house, and we want to encourage parents to discuss things with their children, and there's some just sort of general good sense principles involved. But in terms of the specifics for each case, we don't expect you to have the answers, and I don't think anybody's going to expect you to have the answers. So we really think it takes a village to raise these kids, and that there's a lot of wisdom in each group. So go ahead and turn the questions back to everybody and get the discussions going. Also, it's good for you to know that PACE has 2 wonderful resources. One of them is called PASS, and the other is called Instead. PASS stands for PACE Academy Student Services, and it's a group of upper school students who have committed to not using drugs and alcohol during their time at PACE. And their job really is to talk to the 8th graders. They do that a number of times throughout the year to dispel some of the myths that all upper school students are partying, talk to them about how to get out of uncomfortable situations, how to say no, how to have sober fun, and just to be role models. These kids come from all parts of the PACE community, and it's an excellent service, I think, that PACE provides in terms of helping the younger students with a more realistic perception of what actually goes on in high school. The other resource, which is good for you to know about, is called Instead. And in your email that we sent, there's a detailed description of what Instead is. And what it provides support, and it's a non-disciplinary way of parents and faculty reporting in if they are concerned about a student's potential drug and alcohol behavior. You can't do an anonymous report, but you it's done very discreetly. And if a parent wants to find that on the PACE website to make a referral, you can just type instead into the empty bar on the top right part of the PACE website. You might want to try that before the meeting just so you see how that works. And you can click through and go to the instead part of the website, and it'll explain to you how to make a confidential referral. Now, because there is so much information about this topic, what we decided to do was to boil it down into 4 categories. So we have facts, tips, what ifs, and past secrets. The facts are taken from websites and organizations such as Freedom from Chemical Dependency that have not only national statistics and information about drugs and alcohol and teen usage, but also the PACE survey. So these facts are statistics and research from our local data as well as national data. The tips come from Mark Crawford, our consulting psychologist, as well as other past PACE LEAD leaders and parents, and some of them are from me as a psychologist working with teenagers and families. And then the what ifs are scenarios that have been developed. They're very realistic scenarios that you may run into or that your friends may be running into, and these are opportunities to really talk amongst the group members about what to do when you run into these different situations. Again, we don't have answers, specific answers. Oftentimes the answer is going to be it depends, and we want all the parents to talk through what are some of the variables that are at play here. It might be that your child wants secrecy, wants privacy, or it's about trust and communication with the parent, and yet there might be another child that you're worried about. And so you talk through at what point do you break your child's confidence to talk to another parent. If you're a parent, how do you receive that call? If you need to make an anonymous referral to instead. So again, the answer is often it depends. And the 4th category are past secrets. Sarah is going to be sending out a survey to the past students, the current past students, and asking them lots of questions about why they choose not to use and how their parents have influenced their decisions. And we're going to be boiling down that information. We'll send it to you in a separate email. And what we're going to do is, in each of these categories, there are 7 items, and they're printed out in the attachment. And you can just cut them up as strips and fold them up and put them into hats or bowls or baskets and label the baskets and bowls. Bring them to the parties. And we're going to ask y'all to go around and everybody to pick things out of the basket and read them out loud. And this is how we're going to get the discussions going. So in terms of the guidelines for how it's actually going to work, back to the meetings, after the presenters have shown basically the slides, gone through the different slideshow items about the PACE survey, and then you're going to break up into small groups. And the first thing you're going to do with your group, of course, is introduce yourself and maybe talk a little bit about your child and why you've decided to volunteer to be a facilitator of this, why this matters to you. And then encourage everyone to go around the circle, introduce themselves, let us know who their child is, and 2 words to describe their child. This is going to be hard to boil your kids down to 2 words, but we want to keep it short. Then we're going to have a brief quiz and have everybody go around, and we're going to ask everybody the names of their child's 2 best friends. Do they know this kid's parents' names, and are those names and numbers in their cell phone? And of course, probably, I don't know, maybe depending on how old your kids are, you may be good at this or not so good at this. But after you've gone around the circle, encourage parents when they leave that meeting to find out that information and to get that plugged into their cell phone, as well as encouraging your kids to get some other parents' numbers plugged into their cell phones. This is about creating the safety net. Then we get down to business. Then we want to take maybe about 30 minutes and go through the 4 baskets and just go around the circle and ask people to pick out something from each of the 4 baskets. And Some of them are just something to read and not going to require much discussion. Some of them are going to require some discussion. The what ifs are scenarios where we really want everyone to kind of brainstorm. If you can, try to keep your eye on the clock. We want the entire group discussion to last about 40 to 45 minutes. So this section might be about 30 minutes. And probably leaving it to 3 minutes to 4 minutes for each of the scenarios is going to help you stay in the time frame. We want to respect people's time. And finally, there's going to be surveys, very quick survey at the very end that we'd like you to hand out to folks, and they can just drop it in a basket as they're walking out. We want to ask people how they felt about the meeting, what was helpful, and what they wished had been discussed. We want to use that information to help us with programming for next year. Also, there will be some handouts depending on the grade. 7th and 8th graders are not going to have handouts, but 9th, 10th, and 11th graders are going to have handouts. All the 9th, 10th, 11th graders are going to have a handout on, one is called Know the Law, and these are important laws for you to be aware of and to discuss with your child about drinking, driving, hosting parties, that kind of thing. The other handout that you're all going to get is sort of some tips for drinking and situations where a child might be in an awkward position in terms of getting a ride from somebody. So it gives you and your child some exit lines and family code for how to get out of uncomfortable situations. And also the 9th and 10th graders are going to be given a sample driver's contract, which is very helpful to discuss with your kids all the different variables that might go into driving and all the different distractions, and then it's good to everyone to have that, to sign it. The parents and kids sign that before your kids hit the road. So those will all be available at the host's home. You don't have to make copies of that. That will all be there, but we do want you to take a stack of those and distribute those to the people in your group. So that's about it. If you have any questions, please send us an email. I'm at psychinfo@mindspring.com. That's PSYCINFO@mindspring.com. And any of the other members of the PACE LEAD committee, we are so appreciative of your help, and we hope that you have fun and that it's a very positive experience for everybody all around. Thanks a lot.